What's up, folks, and welcome to the Mad Lab with your man Ron Headback, and I'm going to be bringing you a hack or two for Reason's new chord sequencer. I'm super hyped to be using it. The minute Reason said chord sequencer, I just thought Rhodes and Radical Keys, because for that deep house and disco sound, Radical Keys really nails it for me. So here's the chord sequencer. I won't go into too much on how you use it because I'm sure the Reason gang and Ryan and all that will do all that kind of thing in the live stream. But it seems like a really good sequencer in its own right. Never mind providing beautiful chord sets. It's great for guys like me that just stay in the rack and rarely ever go into the main sequencer view. I mainly just work in the rack for my sequencing. So I'm using Neo Soul preset. There's a whole bunch of kind of genres and styles and chord sets to choose from. I mean, when I heard this first, it totally reminded me of Hill Street Blues, the old cop show. So I'm going to be paying respect and calling this one Hill Street Doos. So let's have a listen to the sounds. I mean, that's sounding beautiful already. So let's see about putting down a simple Rhodes line. You can play in your keys and it keeps you in tune like scales and chords, or you can drag and drop your chord sets. Like there's plenty of patterns to store your chords and your sequences. You can humanize your velocity features. You can actually be editing the chords. I mean, it's got all that and up to 16 step sequencer. I mean, that's the part that's killing it for me because I can do all kinds of stuff with that. So it's just a simple case, drag and drop something in. Sounded sweet. Let's just quickly check that. I ain't perfect, but I'm just playing now. So here's a little Rhodes line I laid down earlier, but let's first get to stacking devices. Because whenever Reason release a new device, I'm always curious to see how it interacts with the other players. Because you got to love Reason's off-label usage for its devices and players. So I dug into the toy box and done my usual stacking up. I've got 2 note echoes and a Euclidean, so let's see what we can do with it. Thing with the Rhodes is it's always nice to get a gentle strum effect. So I brought in the note echo. You've seen here that this is on a step length of about 25 milliseconds, repeats at 17, pitch 6 semitones, and a little bit of a velocity jump. So let's just hear that. If you want a lower gentle bump on your Rhodes, take another note echo. Take a longer step length of maybe about 120 milliseconds, and your repeats up at 17, but this time you're going to be doing a semitone, 6 semitone jump and velocities, slightly lower just to keep it mellow. A good idea here is to play with your velocity curves so you can just sharpen it up a little bit, or you can use the humanize features in the chord sequencer itself to get things kind of bumping along. So let's check that. So that's a nice kind of vibe maybe for intros or bridges or stuff like that. But let's move on to Euclidean. In the chord sequencer, I laid down just this little house jive, so we'll just check that. So that's sounding sweet, but a neat thing you can do is hook up a Euclidean and have that play a similar kind of vibe. So we'll just check that. So if you're wanting some experimentation in your syncopation, you just tweak your technique on the pattern density and, the offsets, and you get some pretty interesting results. Okay, now we've got the Rhodes. I'm going to take you into the drum sequencer with the mighty Kong and the drum sequencer. I won't go through this too much because the way I program beats is hectic. I've had to actually abstain for this demo today. I'm actually only using 10 pads, which is rare for me, and it's rare for me not to be using pendulum, reverse, step offsets, like my usual MADLAB trademarks. But today's Chord Sequencer's special day, so let's just quickly go through the beat. First up, we got the kick. Then we got a little double bump kick. Next, we're going to bring in some reverb soaked shakers. It's going to be pretty neat to tweak that, for effects later on. That kind of vibe. Next, some mad perk, just to add a bit of jack. Then we're going to add some fat claps. Now onto my hi-hats. Today I only have about 4 layers, but that's totally not normal for me. Usually I have a lot more. Anyone mastering my stuff usually cusses me out because I've usually got 16 layers of percussion stems. But let's keep it simple today. So first up, some closed hat Mama Papa. Take that in with a nice crisp hat and, tune the decay in this live to keep it super tight. Next, my trademark bad habit is the off hat on halftime. And let's bring in them double snare knocks. And let's check that all together. Okay, when I'm writing beats, my effects chain is excessive, to say the least, because I soak my stuff in all kinds of, effects. This is the Headback effects chain. It may look innocent on the outside, but if you flip it, I'm sure you'll agree it's beginning to look pretty hectic. So let's not dive into that today. But what I am bringing in is a little bit of reverb, some chorus and unison to fatten things up, a little bit of kind of effect abuse here with some alligator and polar, so we'll just check that out. That's just added for a little extra jangle and hustle, an alligator and polar seasoning. Later I'd parallel process this to make it super punchy with the wet and the dry. But let's get back to the chord sequencer and how this sounds with the Rhodes. One of the reasons I like using Rhodes lines is because the bottom end is so deep. I don't have to worry so much about bass lines, although Reason I've got that covered with the bassline generator. Today I'm going to be skipping a bass line. I can hear your shock and horror, but hey, it worked for the Doors and Ray Manzarek, so it works for me. So thinking about what to bring in next, I wanted some richness and thickness with Thor, because I wanted to add a bit of pizzazz and jazz to the Rhodes. So let's have a look. So it's a very similar setup in the chord sequencer with my Rhodes, but also no echo with a little 6 semitone jump. And that's just to bring a little bit of extra excitement to the line. So we'll just hear it on its own first. And we'll add the no echo jump. And we'll bring in our Rhodes to see how that sounds layered up. That's maybe sounding a bit thick, so we want to bring in a bit of like wobble and sparkles. So of course we'll use Your Friend and Mine, again Alligator, because it's just the shiz, and it just adds that extra sparkles to everything you put on it. That's some real nice vibes. Let's take it with a beat. So that's sounding super rich. Seeing what else the chord sequencer can do for me and you. I'm thinking lead lines. I discovered a neat trick with bassline generator for making leads, but I want to stick with the chord sequencer and get more joy from this new toy. I'm keeping this track a little old school, so I'm going to be using layers. But this time more MADLAB madness of stacking up, and this time it's going to be the quad note generator to the chord sequencer. So quad note is going to generate me some lead lines. I'm choosing a nice clean sound for this because it's a kind of dreamy housey groove, so I'm looking for something old school like a high flute to give some drift on the top. So let's just generate first with the chord sequencer off. Okay, so something definitely ain't sounding right. So we're gonna switch on the chord sequencer and we're gonna check that. Course, tweaking with your variation on pitch and your offset, you're getting some really nice vibes here. The thing is, quad note can be a little unpredictable, but the cool thing with stacking the quad and the chord sequencer is you can record the output of the quad into the chord sequencer and tweak that later. So let's check that out. And we'll just switch the quad off, and here we can edit. Anything that ain't just sounding quite right. So plenty scope for playing with all that later to get it just right and, you know, hit the keys that you want. So Reason hit me up on Monday to check the chord sequencer out, and I got this hustling together in a few hours. So it's time to pay some dues to the Hill Street Blues. So here it is. I'm going to be jamming live, so I'm going to make mistakes, but that's what the music makes, you know? So there you have it, another hack or two from Headback. I'm super hyped to have the chord sequencer. It's just too dope already. So I can't wait to see what else me and you can do with it in the Reason community. Hope you all have fun with it too. Peace.